wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Joining us on the Friday pre-Super Bowl edition of the Nikki Medoro Show. Just checking my phone real quick. We have a big show coming up today. Brian Copeland was just texting me. He's going to come on in the second half of the show. We're going to be talking about this controversy surrounding this movie called You People. I've seen it. A lot of people have seen it. Jonah Hill's in it. Lauren London is in it. It's a great movie. It's funny. Eddie Murphy's in it. There's a problem in the movie, though. And I noticed it when I was watching it. And so we'll get into that. And given the focus of the movie, it seems odd that there was basically this director's decision that was made regarding how this relationship, this interracial relationship, was played out in the movie. And so we'll get into that with Brian Copeland. Also coming up, we're going to find out about, all the shows that he has coming up. Of course, he has a podcast as well. So we'll be discussing that. Also, Tim Sika, it's Friday. So Tim Sika will be talking about movies towards the end of the show. I absolutely love that. I have been running ragged because I made my Friday food. We're not going to do it until kind of in about a half an hour or so. I have it right next to me. I have a movie. So I did a whole video. I'm going to share it during the show. It's pretty good if I do say so myself. And so that's coming up because Super Bowl is happening on Sunday. And so we'll get into some Super Bowl stories that go from DC to AZ. And I don't give a crap who's in the Super Bowl. I love my Niners. So we're wearing some Niner gear today. All right, to start off the show, please click that thumbs up button. I adore it. I adore you. I need it to keep the show going and to grow it on YouTube. They pay attention to the thumbs up. So please do that. Also, if you can, please consider donating to our Patreon. The website to donate is right there, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And you can donate any amount. Obviously, if you could donate more, we would appreciate it. But if you can only donate a little bit, that's absolutely fine. I understand that times are tough for all kinds of people. And so anything that you can donate, we really do appreciate. The Super Chat is live. Now, this is a way we monetize the show during the show and during the replay. And so if you look on the bottom of the chat, you'll see a $sign, and you can throw bucks our way during the show as a super thank, a super sticker, a super comment, and we'll be sure to read all of your comments at some point during the show. If you like PayPal, the PayPal email is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And one more thing. Oh, my friggin' dog, I think, got my shirt. Hold on. All right. There we go. So we do have merchandise. There you go. This is actually my husband's shirt. And so you can pick up t-shirts at the Nikki Medoro shop. There's mugs, there's tumblers, there's AirPod cases, there's hoodies. Please check out the shop, pick something up, and then send me pictures. I think everybody that sent me some pictures, I got to get some of those into a collage and get that going. And so I would just really, really appreciate if you guys would send me the pictures if you are going to support me in this way. And of course, the NikkiMedoroShop.com is where you buy all that stuff. All right. So let's get into our pre-Super Bowl show. There are so many stories that are coming out of the Super Bowl. I've been sharing how my family cut the cord, right? So we're I don't want to do a free advertisement for them, but whatever. Hulu Plus Live TV is what we chose. It is quite an adjustment. And then I was thinking to myself, how are we going to watch the Super Bowl? Because we sure as hell am not doing it in my house anyway, because the house is not ready for guests. But if I needed to watch it, we'd get local TV, so it should be no problem. But there are many ways that you can watch the Super Bowl for free if you don't even have Hulu Plus Live TV. Apple TV, you can watch it on your iPhone. There's just a bunch of ways to watch it. Okay, so it kicks off Friday, 3:30 our time. Again, it's happening in Arizona at State Farm Stadium. Okay, so you can get the Fox Sports app or foxsports.com because Fox is airing the Super Bowl this year. You can get an antenna for over-the-air transmission. You can get the NFL app, but that probably requires a subscription. Although the NFL's website currently says stream free in the NFL app. How are you guys watching it? Are you watching it at home? Do you pay for cable? Let me know in the chat and in the comments, and I'll get to that. But let me go down some more of these options for you. It is obviously free if you have DirecTV, YouTube TV. Give a shout out to YouTube TV. Also, Fubo TV. I've been seeing a couple of ads for Fubo TV. I've never heard of it until recently when I decided to cut the cord. Does anybody have Fubo? I don't know. Now Apple Music is actually sponsoring the halftime show. Remember, I think it was Pepsi all the time, right? The Pepsi halftime show. So it is Apple Music. And in a few moments, I pulled a clip from Rihanna, pardon me. It's Rihanna. Because who's doing the halftime show, and it's going to be amazing. And so she's really, really busy. Actually, let's get to it right now. Look at this lady. I mean, she's just freaking gorgeous. I'm excited. I think that Rihanna is the perfect choice because she does look at her. She kind of carries through the generations, which I think is important when you have something like the Super Bowl where people of all ages are watching. I mean, Rihanna's popular. I don't know anybody that despises her music. And so I think she was a very good choice. But she was giving an interview to Apple, of course, talking about just how busy she's been.
I've been so focused on the Super Bowl. I totally forgot that my birthday is coming up. I totally forgot about Valentine's Day. I am just like Super Bowl. So it's a lot of preparation, a lot of moving parts. And this is the week that it really is being tested. Everyone, we're just tightening up everything. Everybody's dialing in. Everybody's tuning up. And a lot of moving parts. I mean, it's literally like 300 to 400 people breaking the stage down and building it back up and getting it out in 8 minutes. It's incredible. It's almost impossible.
Almost impossible, she says. And we've seen it. We've seen it before. And 8 minutes. Did you hear that? 8 minutes. All of that work in 8 minutes. Let's also welcome Kim McAllister. We're doing our Super Bowl show, Kim McAllister. Yeah. Rihanna there doing the halftime performance. And she says she's just been so busy. She's forgotten that it's her birthday. She's just been focused solely on the Super Bowl. I'm excited to see what she does with it. And I know that besides the commercial, if you're not into football, the halftime show is what I think a lot of people tune into.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say this. I believe I was listening to one analysis this morning. Viewership for the Super Bowl has been consistently down. I think it also has to do with who's playing in the Super Bowl, of course, how big of a competition it's going to be. But I think Rihanna is going to be bringing a lot of people, at least to the screens in the middle of the game for the halftime show. I mean, are you going to make a point, or are you going to go to Costco and do all of your shopping like you were talking about?
Well, yesterday? I'm going on a trip.
Okay. I'm going on a trip.
For my son's 9th birthday. So
yay.
I won't be around. But I will look back on YouTube and try to catch her performance.
There you go. Yeah. You'll catch it in the replay, as a lot of people are saying. Right. All right. The lady Beatrice says, my mom says we're going to try to use an antenna. Over the air is fine. I mean, it's on Fox. It's on in the Bay Area channel 2, right? Mario writes in, I use ESPN Plus to watch the games on the road. All right. Yeah. Randy's saying he'll watch it on cable. I have not heard of this. Kim, have you heard of this? The lady Beatrice also wrote in that DirecTV is fighting with the Fox network. We know when these things happen, you'll get kind of a banner across your TV. This channel is going to go away because they're in negotiations for this, that, and the other. So it does happen. I think DirecTV would be stupid to do it during the Super Bowl weekend. That's just dumb. Christopher writes in, at my friend's bar. Christopher, is this a bar that's an actual business bar, or do they have a bar in their garage or house? Because that sounds, I would prefer the one in the house because I bet he's not charging you as much. You bring your own.
Nice to know a friend with a bar, though. Either way.
Exactly. I don't know the answer to this question. Perry writes in, where can you get the game and the best resolution? I don't know. I mean, I would say the resolution has more to do with your connection and your TV, right? Or maybe I'm just wrong. I'm not that tech savvy about it. Look at John Slade. I'm just praying for another wardrobe malfunction. Can we not? I don't need to hear any more about nipples, please. I really, really don't. Oh, and then Perry's not into the halftime show. Perry uses it to cook dinner. What? Oh, did you say something, Kim? No? Okay.
I said nipples.
Oh, nipple. I didn't catch the whole word.
I was just repeating nipples.
Nipples. John says the antenna gives you the best resolution. Lou says it depends.
I wouldn't think that would be true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, let's do an experiment. I don't know where I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. I'm not going to go to a bar, though. Hopefully a friend's having a party there's a bar down the street that's pretty cool, but you have to get there hella early to get a seat. I'm sure as hell I'm not going to stand. And then my kids, I'm just down the street, but still. So
Can't you just go to your parents' house?
That's a good idea. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to host me and my children and
that's
cook
right.
me food and everything? I did do a Friday food appetizer, Kim McAllister.
What was it?
So you're just going to have to wait for our Friday food segment that's going to happen after your news. I do have it right next to me. It's semi-healthy, although I'm going to take healthy right out of it. Everything that I added to it took away anything that would be healthy about it. But I tried. And I'm also going to say this. There's no meat in it, which is big for me. Okay, so no meat, semi-healthy, or at least it started healthy. How about that? JR says DirecTV and YouTube TV are broadcasting in 4K, but those are premium additions to both services. You know what? I don't need that great of a connection for the Super Bowl. I think I can kind of gather what's going on, John Smith, how dare you bring up the Choco Taco? It is gone, my friend. Can't wait till they bring it back. A Taco Bell actually does, and we'll do this in the Friday food segment. They have something coming out just for the Super Bowl, but we can't get it. After all the free advertising, Kim, that I do for this damn company, how dare they? But I will not be able to try what they are selling. Okay. Yeah, exactly. There is a tradition, though, during the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, where the president of the United States traditionally does an interview. It's obviously on the channel that the Super Bowl was, kind of to lead in or what have you. Well, President Biden has apparently decided, or Fox News has decided, it's still up in the air, that it's not going to happen. So Karine Jean-Pierre did go on Twitter, and this is what she wrote in response to news that there would be no traditional presidential interview after the Super Bowl. She wrote, the president was looking forward to an interview with Fox Soul to discuss the Super Bowl. I don't know what Soul is, but to discuss the Super Bowl, the State of the Union, and critical issues impacting the everyday lives of Black Americans. We've been informed that Fox Corp has asked for the interview to be canceled. So that's the president's statement regarding this. Now, Fox News is saying, it wasn't us that canceled it. It was the president that canceled it. So a Fox News executive said, we offered an interview with our top news anchors with no strings attached. They're walking away from a huge audience, and it's a major missed opportunity. What do you think? I don't believe that it's necessary, but I think that the debate that happened this morning on The View was pretty telling and really covered a lot of the points. So you guys tell me in the comments as I play this exchange. Again, this was on The View during news that the president would not do the interview after the game on Sunday. And this is what they kind of said about whether or not the president should do it.
The game airs on Fox this year. So that's the problem. So, well, it's a problem. So he would be interviewed by a Fox News journalist, Brett Baer or somebody like that. Yeah. It would give Biden the chance to get his message out to a huge, huge audience. So the question is, should he do it? There is the issue of they still say that he wouldn't really win the election. Yeah. Those people over there at Fox, they're not exempt. They keep saying he's a liar when they're the liars. Why would he go over there?
I don't think he should. I mean, I know that it's a tradition. The pregame show, this pre-interview would only get about 20 million viewers. I think he got something like 27.3 for the State of the Union. So people have seen him, they've heard him. And I don't think you normalize the misinformation network.
Did he get more in the State of the Union than the Super Bowl?
Yes. So the pregame, and I have trouble believing that he should sit down even with a Shannon Breen or even with a Brett Baer, because the bottom line is they work for a network that puts forth conspiracy theories. They're election deniers. During Tucker Carlson's show on Tuesday, coming just before the State of the Union address, he called him a mannequin president has left the White House. I mean, this is just constant. And basically, people are more willing, Fox viewers, more willing to embrace conspiracy theories around COVID.
Does anyone disagree?
I totally disagree on this one. I think the biggest thing wrong with our politics right now is people exist in their echo chambers. So a lot of Fox viewers don't even hear about things that Biden might have talked about on other networks. I think he ran saying he wants to be a president for all Americans. That includes Republicans. He should talk to them. And by the way, I've negotiated these interviews for presidents and VPs and VIPs prior. You can request certain anchors. Fox has some serious journalists. The journalists can be very good. I would never say he should sit down with Tucker Carlson. Like that would be
Bill O'Reilly.
Or Bill O'Reilly. That's a disaster.
I'm amazed that Obama sat down with O'Reilly.
Brett Baer has interviewed Obama. He's interviewed, prior presidents. I think it's a good time to be a president for all Americans.
But he hasn't even announced what he's going to do or not do, so I'm not sure why we're telling him.
Well, it seems like it's pretty late.
Yeah. But I suspect they're going to make an announcement today, and this is a president who's done things differently. I do know this. Jill Biden has been showing up to every Phillies football game that there is. Yeah. She is a huge fan, and so I suspect they're going to end up doing something.
And I would say that, although I totally agree with what Alyssa's saying, that there are real journalists, and I think you have to go where people are, regardless of who those people are, and take a chance. If they're shopping in conspiracy theories, call them out in real time, because I think you go there, and I think that has a powerful message. But if I were strategically advising him, I would say on the heels of such a great State of the Union, all those moments they had and all the talk the next day, that there's more to lose than gain if you were to get into a weird back and forth or something like that. So I don't know if strategically he needs to do it. It is a great opportunity.
Pete Buttigieg does Fox a lot, and I think it's actually been helpful for him.
Well, he's so much smarter than all of them, so it's easy for him.
That's totally true. I mean, Steve Buttigieg can see a question coming before they even ask it, right?
Exactly. Now Randy Randy's really supporting the idea of Biden going on Fox, and it is a debate of who rescinded the offer, who didn't. I've never heard of Fox Soul. This is Fox Soul, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't. This is the first time.
I thought that Karine Jean-Pierre had a typo. I was like, what the hell is Fox Soul?
Fox Soul. Well, and maybe that's why she said that he wanted to talk about the issues facing Black Americans, because that was that particular audience. Right. But here's what I wonder. On one hand, they talked about Buttigieg and how he's managed to bring his message to a wider audience. Okay. And also in doing so, have an openly gay man in front of this audience, and they can see who he is and get to know him. And there's a lot to be done there for that to relationship with people. But I wonder if having the president of the United States, as John Rothman says, appear on Fox News legitimizes it as a news operation, an organization that many feel shouldn't be legitimized because of what was mentioned moments ago: the conspiracy theories, the lies, what stories do they choose to cover. We used to have in the newsroom a bank of televisions, and you could see on each one, you'd have all of them covering the same breaking story or the same top stories. And then on Fox, it was always like a downplay. Let's cover Hunter Biden's laptop. Is that a real news organization? And does that organization deserve the president of the United States of America's time? I mean, this is the sitting president.
Exactly.
I don't, he has to be very careful who he speaks with, who he doesn't speak with, and whether they're deserving of his time. And I think the last part,
I think the last part is true. You know, who's deserving of that interview? It is the president of the United States. Now, again, Fox Soul, that's what it is. I'd never heard of them before. Now, apparently a White House official told Mediate's Tommy Christopher that the interview was locked with Fox Soul hosts Mike Hill and Vivica Fox, but that Fox Corporation canceled it. Variety reported today that Fox News had sought an interview with Biden, but that the president would not be conducting. Oh, this is a pre-game interview. I thought it was after, but it's before. And then, so it's kind of this big question mark of who's pulling it from whom. And, you know, I can't imagine Biden saying no to going on Fox Soul. The View apparently had it wrong, saying it was going to be Brett Baier or somebody like that. Maybe they just didn't know. But I would say it would be a stretch for me to think that President Biden wouldn't want to go on Fox News simply because he didn't want to take any questions. I would think that he wanted to go on Fox Soul. And this is, of course, just my guess. And that something happened with, they wanted somebody else to do the interview and the president maybe didn't want to, or that it wasn't what they initially agreed to, or they were changing some sort of dynamic of the interview. And then it became more of a Fox-led type of thing instead of being like, do you want to interview the president of the United States or not? And but what's a question? Honestly, what is a question that you don't think that the president would want to tackle, that he doesn't want to talk about? I mean, they're constantly throwing these questions at him. I can't imagine that there's really something where he'd be shaking in his boots. He's been doing this a long time, people. I find it very difficult to believe. The truth of the matter is, would Fox viewers even watch the interview? Because talking about, oh, you should reach all Americans, you know what's going to happen to people that can't stand Biden when he's on their screen? Click. They're not going to watch the interview. So then why do it anyway?
I wonder, though, and would they operate by the same standards? The normal standard, journalistic standards are, you don't even edit sound, especially in radio. You don't edit any sound out. The president to have the pregnantest pause in the world, right? Like the longest, gap. You don't edit what the president says. You don't edit it. It stands on its own. It's part of a historical record. You don't touch it.
Right.
I wonder, though, if Fox operates by the same standards, and, would they take the interview in its entirety? Would they chop it up and turn things around and take it all out of context? And I don't know if I trust them as the president to do fair, unbiased, interviews or reporting. There's a question mark there, a big one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, I think people are going to err on the side of, oh, the president didn't want to go on Fox, instead of Fox saying, I mean, because what media organization wouldn't want the president of the United States on, unless you want to make the president look bad, which again is the MO of Fox News. So they can, change the rules, cancel the interview, and then play this narrative of, oh, the president doesn't want to come on our station. The problem is similar to George Santos. Once you become a network known for lying, then it's very hard to believe anything that comes out of it, even if it is the truth. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's still time, unless I guess they probably pre-recorded. I don't know when they actually would do the recording. I don't think it's live. So I would highly doubt it was live, but we'll see.
I was reading a story on CNN Business about this whole situation, and apparently the president has tangled with Fox News reporters before, calling Peter Doocy, the White House correspondent from Fox, quote, "You stupid son of a bitch." Remember that?
Yeah.
President Biden later called Doocy to apologize. Pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem is, again, it's on Fox, the Super Bowl is, so they get the interview, right?
Yeah.
And so it is, I think it just goes back to, for a news organization that is caught up in lawsuits for lying about our last election and voting systems like Dominion, it does seem really hard to justify making the president of the United States sit there. It's like, I don't know, not that it would ever happen, and not that it's exactly the same thing, but he shouldn't have to sit down with Alex Jones just if Alex Jones buys the rights to some sort of show and channel or something like that. you don't have to sit with people that work for a network that make a ton of money lying to the American people. I mean, that is what the Dominion Voting Systems lawsuit is all about. They knew they were lying. Their host, Tucker Carlson, they knew that they were lying. And yet they kept going up under this whole guise of people are saying there's an investigation, there's concerns, blah, blah, blah. So, Fox News can only be helped by President Biden's interview. And I wouldn't help a network like that, especially when they peddle in conspiracies and lies. Yeah. So, okay.
There's a listener talking about, some stuff he's saying, it's opinion, and I understand it, but he gets a little bit mean. But here's Chris in the chat. He says, you can't decipher half of the stuff Joe says on any platform, which I disagree with. And then he turns into a little bit of a meanness here. Joe needs to be eating pudding in a nursing home, which I disagree with. And finally, 80-year-old politicians now, Gen X will never get to be in power. I think you have a point in that regard.
Absolutely. But then look at both sides. Yeah. I mean, look at Mitch McConnell. Look at a lot of all politicians.
I can completely understand what Joe Biden is saying on every platform. I don't feel that way.
If you want to be hung up on any sort of stutter that he may have or confused words, please, Trump, who's only a hair younger than him, right, was no better as president. So let's just stop and also be a little empathetic to the fact that they're human beings and people stumble over words and make mistakes and things like that. But that's just a talking point of people on the right of making fun of his age. And if that's what you want to, focus on, okay. But again, if you want to look at the results that this president has done, he can go toe to toe with any argument there. I mean, the things that he has been able to get past, even with this Republican Party, has been immense. And so, I don't think that's a fair criticism of him at all.
No, I don't think so. It doesn't make any sense. And when you look at, if you want to compare presidents, you want to compare speeches. Oh, God, I mean, exactly Trump never didn't say anything. He just talked in circles, nonsensical.
Oh yeah, and said the most crazy things. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever. That's politics showing. You know what I mean? Like that's just your political leanings showing and whatever. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that this is a tradition that often happens. And you know what? If it ends, it ends. Right? There's a lot of traditions that have ended under the past administration. Handing over your tax returns, doing things like that, showing up for the White House gala, all sorts of things under the last administration came to an end. This can come to an end too, if need be.
Do you think because Trump did that with the taxes that now every president is going to do that? I don't think one president, does a tradition make.
Didn't Biden, I think Biden's let it go. There's one reason and one reason only why Trump doesn't want his tax returns known. It's because he's not as rich as people think he is, obviously. Well, there's something in there. People don't hide things unless there's a problem.
We'd have found out he didn't pay any taxes.
There you go. Exactly. So
that's a bad look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. John says Trump never threw out any opening day pitches. That's a tradition. Good point. Can you imagine, though? He didn't want to do it because he doesn't know if he's going to be able to get it across the plate, which is the point. I mean, not everybody does. But yeah, he doesn't want to ever look bad. Yeah, exactly. Probably because he can't throw. Exactly. All right. So we're going to do Kim's News. When we come back, it's right here, right next to me. I mean, literally, I finished cooking this 10 minutes before the show started. I got to start doing this way earlier. So I made an appetizer, Super Bowl appetizer. I actually have a video. Hopefully, I can get it uploaded in time. If not, I'll just kind of walk you through what I did. So I'll discuss my Friday food segment, what I made as an appetizer. We can kind of go over what you guys are going to be eating for the Super Bowl, if anything, again. The cost of snacks, I'll tell you how much I paid for all the ingredients in this appetizer. I want you guys to guess, after I show you what it is, how much it cost me. I'll get into that Taco Bell story. There is going to be a huge product being sold by Taco Bell just in time for the Super Bowl, but I will not be able to try it, which is kind of a bummer. And then stay with us because in the second part of the show, Brian Copeland will be joining us. You know Brian, he was at Station X on KGO. He has a podcast, Copeland's Corner. It drops on Thursdays, actually. He also has a new solo show, Grandma and Me, an ode to single parents. It's been extended for the 4th time. It's playing at the Marsh in San Francisco, so we'll touch on that. But I want to get into this controversy around this movie that I've seen. Kim, you've seen it. A lot of people have seen it. It's You People with Jonah Hill and Lauren London and Eddie Murphy and a bunch of people. Really funny. I loved the movie, but there was something I noticed the very first time I ever watched it. I've only watched it once. But I did notice it throughout the whole movie. And now I've come to find out it's an even bigger controversy than I even thought it was, just watching it casually. So we'll get into that. Also, in the end of the show, we will, of course, wrap up with Tim Sika, who will be taking a look at what movies we need to see. I know one on his list, Kim McAllister, was Magic Mike. Have you seen any of the past Magic Mike?
Yes, I have. I'm a bit of a Channing Tatum aficionado. So yeah.
He is just so good looking. Yeah. So apparently the opening of this movie is
funny.
Hot. Oh yeah. He's really, really good. So we'll be talking to Tim and we'll get his take on whether or not it's worth actually going out and seeing. I'm going to just say yes for myself. I will be there no matter what. Before we go to news, please click that thumbs up button to show support of the show. The super chat is live. We'll give shout outs throughout the show for people who want to throw us a super thanks, a super comment, a super chat, super sticker, whatever's in there. Please support the show. It's literally the only way we're going to be able to continue doing this right now. Yeah. Our Patreon is up and running. If you want to become a monthly subscriber, it's the NikkiMedoroShow.com. And of course, pick up some merchandise. We have the merch shop, the NikkiMedoroShop.com. The NikkiMedoroShop.com is where you get all of that stuff, and send me a picture because I love to see it. But right now, let's take a look at some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. Let's get right to this breaking story. It is a situation where the White House says President Biden ordered the U.S. military to shoot down another high-altitude object, this one over Alaska. During an afternoon briefing, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said it posed a reasonable threat to civilian flight. That led to the president ordering the military to bring it down. Now, we don't know, was it another spy balloon? Not sure what it was, but it was posing a threat to public flights in the area, and it was this time around 40,000 feet. The balloon shot down last weekend was at 65,000 feet, so this one's significantly lower. President Biden will be traveling to Poland later this month. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying he'll deliver remarks ahead of the 1-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Biden again visiting Poland, which borders Ukraine, later in February. An advisor to former Vice President Mike Pence says, yes, indeed, one classified document was found at his Indiana home. The statement coming after a search of the home that lasted 5 hours today. It was described as thorough and unrestricted. It was also revealed 6 more pages without classified markings were taken as well. So, even though he thought he had them all, looks like another top secret one was pulled out. The CDC is adding COVID vaccine to the routine immunization schedules for both children and adults as well. That joins the flu, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, and other shots, but doesn't mean the CDC is making the shot mandatory for children. GOP leaders are rejecting White House claims that the Republicans want to slash entitlement programs, including Social Security and Medicare. Now I can put that picture up. Senator John Cornyn of Texas saying instead of scrapping them, the GOP wants to reform them to make sure they survive. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has also pledged not to touch those programs. Disney is closer to losing the power to govern itself in Florida after a vote there by senators. state senators, I should say. A bill that prevents companies from getting special treatment is now heading to the desk of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. He is expected to sign it. Some Democrats call it a power grab by the governor. And a Colorado man is fighting with his homeowners association over their demand that he remove an unusual lawn decoration. Sean McGarry says he found a toilet sitting in his yard last October in Windsor, right near Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay.
Found out later his neighbors have put the toilet there as a joke. So he decides, let's run with the idea, right?
Okay.
He decorated it for Halloween. He decorated it for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Little lights on the potty. And he was planning to decorate it for Valentine's Day, but they've had enough. He's got a notice this week. The HOA wants the toilet flushed for violating community standards. He's refusing to budge. He's set up now a GoFundMe account for donations to pay any fines leveled against him. He wants the toilet in his yard. He's going for it. So what started out as a joke from his neighbors has taken on a life of its own.
There you go. You know how I feel about homeowners associations. Unless you're paying my mortgage, I don't give a crap what you think about what I'm doing in my own house. Now, I know some people love homeowners association. I think that those people are people that don't like confrontation, right? Somebody left their garbage cans out. Somebody's yard isn't really being upkept. So you want somebody else, AKA a Karen or whatever, Ken, to take care of it, to go over there and be like, it's not in the rules. You can't do it. But what happens is, on one hand, like, I love the fact that, you have to tell people, like, look, you can't have weeds growing everywhere. Try to keep it up a little bit,
Right.
Like, you can't tell me the color I could paint my house, how tall my bushes have to be, what bushes I can or cannot have, the flower. That gets ridiculous. And I just don't like it.
I'm going to make the Karen argument.
Okay.
Nikki, do you want to live next door to a purple house? Do you want to live next door to a Christmas toilet? Do you want to live next door to, what looks like a total crack house? No. So I guess.
But you know what? If I have to live next to a purple house, I have to live next to a purple house. I understand that some people might not want to look at it. But again, I always go to this. Am I paying that purple house's mortgage? Do I have any say on what they should do to their house? No. I live in a community in which people have the right to make their own decisions for the investments in which they make. I might not like it. How much don't I like it? Do I not like it enough that I want to move? I
will say though that when you buy the house, the chances are good you knew that you were buying into a place with a homeowners association and that you would have to pay HOA fees and dues. And so if you knowingly did that, then you knowingly signed on to the
right.
rules.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I would never buy a house in a homeowners association neighborhood. So
agree.
That's the decision. Exactly.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. It is coming up on tax time. So if you need help with your taxes, don't wait. Now is the time to call Steve Moskowitz. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL. He's at moskowitzllp.com. And I promise I'll take good care of you. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Steve will indeed. Please give him a call. He'll help you with any of your problems, and tell him the Nikki Medoro Show sent you. I love Nick. I hate my HOA. What do you hate? I mean, we're not really, going too deep into this story, but what do you hate about your HOA? I mean, because I always figure at the top of the list would be the fact that I even have to pay money, right? I mean, you'll see some of these like homes, and then you look at how much you have to pay in addition to your high mortgage to an HOA. No, thank you. What do you hate? What do you love? You guys can tell me in the comments and we'll get back to it.
I have a built-in HOA. I don't have to pay for it. It's my mom. She lives next door and she'll just come over and say, I don't like the way this looks. I think you need to pull your garbage cans in. I'm very concerned with the brown patch in your lawn.
Yeah.
So I have she's a built-in.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Nick
Mom.
says that he doesn't like the money, obviously. And people are making this argument, and I get this argument. Outlandish or rundown neighbors adversely affect property values. That's from Nick. Vilma says the same thing. Nikki, if you live next to a purple house, it may affect the value and possible marketability if you need to sell your home. Okay, I'm just going to say this. You live in the Bay Area. People have bought burnt homes. I don't think that, yes, you might get less, but you know what? I bet dollars to donuts, you won't. You know what I mean? Like, people just buy nonsense homes in the Bay Area. They just do. So don't feed me what I consider to be nonsense as if, I have this great house in a great neighborhood, but that purple house is going to mean it's not going to sell. Bull. It's going to sell. It's going to sell. It just is. It's taste, right? Does everything have to be so cookie cutter? You're talking to somebody that loves color. Now, I'm not saying I would ever paint my house purple. I would never, ever. And I'm not even saying I want to live next to a purple house, but there is something
house was painted blue and purple
everywhere. Your house is painted blue and purple.
My house was painted blue and purple when I moved into it. It is no longer. That was one of the first things we took care of. But this woman who lived here, her favorite color was purple. And so she painted the house blue with purple trim. Apparently when it was when the painters were doing it, people were driving by and hollering, "What are you doing?"
Oh,
she
no, really?
put purple carpet in the bedroom. She painted the bedroom purple. She painted every door in the house with these wild, crazy murals, many of which were purple in nature. So yeah, I have a relationship with purple.
Kathleen writes in, I did live next to a purple, green, and yellow house. So what? To each his own. Here's the thing. I think there's two types of people. There's people that just want everything to look nice. And then there's people that like to stand out. Purple house lady, she wanted to stand out. Mm-hmm. And on one hand, you might be tired of seeing it, but on the other hand, life is short, people. Like, who cares? It's a story now. Like, Kim has a story about her house, and otherwise it's like, I moved into an off-white or gray house with gray flooring and white walls. And, these people that had the toilet, there's a story that's part of your life now. And yes, property values, but you're not taking that crap with you when you die. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not. And I know I'm speaking as someone who's not living next to a purple house. Okay, I understand. I really, really do. Look at John. John says HOAs in Hawaii are insane. They can range from $509 a month to $2,000 a month. They're called maintenance fees.
Yeah,
I know condos have that too, right? I think.
Well, there's a lot of, I will say in Hawaii, there's a lot of yard maintenance that needs to be done. A lot of clipping, a lot of, palm tree, got to send some guys up to get the coconuts up there, or ladies up. Right. And also there's pool maintenance. There's a lot of things that happen. Does that, necessitate $500 to $600 a month? I don't know. That seems awful steep.
That's a lot of money. Nick also writes in, I get warning notices on my car when I park in guest spaces because the guests take all the resident spaces. Why aren't they ticketing the guests that are in the resident spaces? That's another thing. Parking. Ugh. That's a pain in the ass. Look at Eric. My house is blue. My parents' house used to be blue. It matters the color blue.
Mine's still blue. I just painted off the purple trim, so now it's blue and white.
But it's a normal blue, right? It's not like... Is it a baby blue? Is it a navy blue? What kind of blue is it?
It's like a Cape Cod blue.
Okay, so a snobby blue.
I hope it's not snobby.
What's a Cape Cod? I
don't think you look at my house and think snobby
navy?
People
It's
live
like
there.
A navy blue, like a navy blue.
No. It's light. It's like it's almost.
See, like a sea blue, a sky blue,
sky blue. Yeah, sky blue and white. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a house near my parents' house that is blue. It's kind of like a sky blue, but that's not. And I won't even say it's a problem. It's a noticeable house. They have this. I don't know if it's decor. It's attachments on their house that kind of give it it's black metal. I think it's metal. And it looks like, it's these cool little designs that they've attached it. And so it doesn't look like any of the other houses. Some people, I bet, think it's a little tacky looking. I think it's interesting. And I always notice the house. And that's what I think is also cool. Your investment should stand out. Why do you want to look like every other house? That's also what I hate about HOAs. Everything has to look the same. And It's very Stepford Wives kind of, It's just boring.
Yeah.
And so just lighten up, people. Just lighten up. Anna writes in, I want to live next to the Flintstone house. You'll see it off 280. That'd be really funny. Although the neighbors were all pissed off because they were adding to it, remember?
Yeah, the city tried to get them to stop.
Randy's right. Yeah. Randy's right. Property values are a big deal, but really they're a big deal if you want to sell. Right. So if you're just going to live there, then it's really just you dealing with some eccentricity in your neighborhood. All right. My dad used to give us $1 for every purple house we could spot in San Francisco. You'll see him in San Francisco. Absolutely. He knew exactly where the rainbow house was in San Francisco, which as a kid was like finding gold at the end of the rainbow. I love that. Yeah, I mean, so someone says, how about a bright orange home, unique home, bring color and charm to the community? Exactly. Now, Vilma, it raises an interesting point, though. She says, I didn't say it wouldn't sell. It will sell. But when your colors affect my value, I draw the line. Mm-hmm. Now, you'd have to be able to show that it did, right? Because if you're already living next to the home, and I mean, and you're not getting any offers for what you're putting it up for, then that's one thing. But if you get what you're asking for it, which is what I'm saying that if you're, let's just say $1 million, $1.5 million, right? Yeah. I want to sell my house for $1.5 million. You're going to get $1.5 million. I mean, it might drop a little bit, $1.4 million, $5 million. I don't know. You're going to get what you want.
You might have received more if, you had a wider pool of people that were able to tolerate looking at what was next door. I don't know. I mean, I don't care.
I don't know. Exactly. I mean, I just kind of feel like HOAs are lame. Just stop commenting on what I need to do with my home.
Speaking of Vilma, I made Vilma a promise.
Oh, okay.
I would watch The Last of Us.
Oh, did you watch?
I did.
The whole thing?
I watched the whole first episode.
You must have been devastated at the end.
I was very grossed out.
I wasn't
when
that
I asked you if there were people eating faces off, you said yes, kind of, but they really were. And that was upsetting, Nikki. With the
I didn't warn you enough.
Mouth. Yeah. Didn't, I feel like I didn't really have enough warning that was coming. And that was pretty gross. But I did like the story. I wish maybe they could have told me the story of the people eating situation without being so graphic about it. I'm a little squeamish in that department, but the characters are good. The storyline is good. And I do think I'll watch episode 2. Although if we get more people eating and it gets even grosser, then I might.
Come on, it's a zombie movie. It's a zombie movie.
What did you think, Vilma? What did you think, Vilma? I want to know.
Did you think? Let us know in
the comments. We were going to compare notes because she was kind of squeamish about it too.
Well, I mean, I thought that you were going to say something about the death at the end, and because I was really shocked by the death at the end. But I loved the beginning of it, how there was this whole because I was not familiar with the video game, so I'm just thinking zombies, whatever. It's another zombie show.
Right.
And then the whole question of what is going on. And I will say this, everything after COVID just hits different, right? It's just like there's something in the air. And then the opening scene where they talk about, things surviving if the planet warms up a bit. I mean, it was a lot of
that freaked me out. That whole sequence about how it's possible.
Exactly.
And it's like, somebody call Fauci and ask him if that's true, because
it has to be. I mean, it's not that far of a stretch.
Scary. I mean, when you think about a pandemic, that makes COVID look like child's play. Yeah. So I realize it's a movie or it's a show and that it's far-fetched, but still freaky. Still freaky.
Excuse me. Oh, she said it was too. Vilma says it's too dark and gloomy. What do you mean, Walnut Creek adult softball? Nikki is that friend that gives you great things to watch on television and doesn't want to give the whole plot away. I thought it was great. I really did. I really thought it was great. And it's fun. It's action packed. It is definitely more my cup of tea than Kim's cup of tea, but yeah. You're hooked. You're going to watch the second episode.
I was told yesterday, I forget who in the chat said you got to get through the 3rd episode.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm going to give it another whirl. I kind of get attached to characters sometimes, and that can pull me through, even if it's really violent. Yes. That happened in Game of Thrones. I mean, and that was just brutal there was gratuitous head chopping.
But you watched the whole thing.
There was no reason for that kind of violence. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely
no Game of Thrones. Like, there's just no
reason for this violence. No, seriously. You could have told the story without the graphic of intestines falling out.
No way. Oh, it's great. No. It's great.
So, but Vilma, I think maybe we ought to give it another shot. We might like those characters. We might think it is dark and gloomy. I do agree. It is rather apocalyptic with, it looks like a nuclear war hit or whatever. But
you do have to see episode 3. You have to.
I mean,
if you stop at episode 3, which I don't think that you will after watching it, but you have to just experience episode 3. It's just so good. It's so good. Okay. It's Friday, so let's do some Friday food. It's cold, but I've already eaten it hot. It's okay. I mean, this is how it would be on the Super Bowl. Like I would make something and then it would sit on a table. And this can sit because I made this. Let me show you the picture. Oh, hold on. I didn't make that. It is Friday food. Let me find the picture of it. Did I not? Oh, hold on. So remember yesterday we were talking about like all of those appetizers that you can make. And I mentioned this one. This is the honey garlic cauliflower. Okay.
Oh, that looks so good.
Now, let me tell you, I made it. Now, look at that.
Nikki, it looks great. It looks just like the picture.
Okay, you want to see my little video that I did? Okay.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Okay. So here it is. Here's my video. It's going to kind of show like in the middle. I tried to do it vertically.
I'm so proud of you right now. I'm so proud of you. That is awesome.
Here's me making it at 11 o'clock. I started at like 10:35.
Were you listening to Mark Thompson as you did?
Yes, and I was losing my freaking mind. So
the ingredients for this honey garlic cauliflower are pretty simple, and I'll include a link in my show notes. But it's just the basic ingredients you see right here. I'm a little low on sriracha because I love it. And it's simple. Just get your oven ready, 400 degrees. Of course, you want to line your sheet pan. You don't have to grease it or anything. The cauliflower needs to be cut up in bite sizes. You're going to want to put some flour all over it. But here's the important part, people. Don't forget to season. Pepper, salt. It's very, very basic, but it's important. Now we dredge. So we take our beaten eggs, add a little bit of water, and then have a separate bowl for some panko. And I was using a fork because I hate getting my fingers so messy. I was having a bit of a problem here. Sometimes you just have to get your hands messy when you're dredging. But you dredge it, and then you have the pan right next to it where you put it on. I was running out of time, so I just dumped a bunch of the egg-soaked cauliflower into the panko and then into the oven for about 20-25 minutes. Now for the sauce. Make a slurry. Cornstarch, water in a separate bowl, then the honey, the soy sauce, the lime, lots of garlic, some sriracha. I just did it based on love. I didn't actually measure it out. It's supposed to be 2 tablespoons. Bring it to a low boil, and then once it's boiling, then you add the slurry. You have to add it slowly, kind of bubbled up there a bit. But this is what makes it so thick. And look at how thick it is going to be. It is a sticky, sticky mess once you start, excuse my husband, once you start stirring it around. Check on your cauliflower, make sure it doesn't burn. Once it's ready, then of course, toss the cauliflower into the sauce. It's very, very sticky. It took me a while to be able to get it on there. And then this part is also important. Put it back in the oven, broil it for 2 minutes, and then it's going to get nice and caramelized on top. Look at that. It's absolutely delicious. I give it a big thumbs up. Mwah.
All right,
the
so
next HGTV Food Network star or whatever it is.
All right, so my husband liked it. He was like, and he's not a huge cauliflower fan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make it gluten-free? I don't know.
Is it still good cold?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you get on the back half after you swallow it a little bit more of the spice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved. Here were some of the problems I had making it. So I moved and I got garlic.
By the way, nice kitchen counters in the rental house.
Thank you. Oh, and the counter is so much bigger than I had at the other house. But I couldn't find my garlic press. So I am trying to be like, I'm going to mince this with a knife. It took me friggin' forever. Pain in the ass. But that was the hardest part. It's really easy. I'm not lying. It was really easy. It says it could take 35 minutes. It could have if I didn't make the video at the same time. But I didn't want to go through all of that work and not make a video for all of you guys. So it was really, really good. But yeah, so there it is. It's really, really yummy. But honestly, Vilma, It's not that spicy. I know that I put in a lot of sriracha with love. I could have put a whole half a cup in it. It's not spicy. It definitely
Nona
needs.
And I are like two peas in a pod. We are like the same. I'm
You
not
don't
a
like
spice
spice?
fan either. No, I told you the story about my mom putting the Tabasco sauce on my mouth. So
Yeah,
I don't like
get over it.
No spicy, no, nothing. No hot sauce, nothing, no mouth on fire feeling, nothing.
It's not
no
spicy.
Blood and gore on television. Vilma's my girl.
It's not spicy. I think, so like as I'm swallowing, I'm like, in the back of your throat, it's like a hint. It is not spicy. Like my tongue's not on fire, right? But it needs a kick. You can leave the sriracha out. It'll be really sweet, I think. I think the sriracha kind of cuts. There's tons of garlic in it. I don't know. It's gooey. It's sticky. I mean, you could see, you saw how thick that sauce got, right? That slurry just made it happen. So it was really, really yummy. Yeah, Amy, you can follow my TikToks. I don't do a lot of TikToks. Mainly I do my TikToks to make cooking videos. And I know I should have mentioned Nugget in my, he's like standing in the background of my video. David, one, I was wearing my fuzzy sweater when I started cooking. I had to quickly take it off. And two, cauliflower's bomb. I love cauliflower. Do you like cauliflower, Kim? Is that a vegetable that you?
I do. I like cauliflower and broccoli. But my husband, who I believe is David B.
Yes,
he does not.
And he's the chef. I'm surprised that, with all the cooking that your husband does, that he just doesn't like cauliflower.
Yeah, he's a really good cook. He really is. But he's big on the protein, the meat.
You see, and I wanted to make something. This was semi-healthy.
Yeah.
Calvin says nacho cheese topping would be good. Don't say. I mean, man, the nacho cheese. I like it.
But you know what? You basically fried cauliflower, and anything fried is going to be great.
It was baked.
Yeah.
It wasn't even fried. So it's
really?
semi-healthy. Yeah. But it has a lot of honey in it. So it has a lot of sugar. A
Sure.
lot of sugar in the honey, sugar in the sriracha. It has cornstarch in it.
Yeah.
Flour. So it's not the healthiest, but yeah, it wasn't fried. I didn't want to fry anything. I was not going to tackle frying anything this morning. I was not going to have the smoke alarms going off in the new house, but beef is healthy. Yeah, beef can be lean. I mean, in moderation, but
it was not healthy.
I wanted to make, in moderation, it has protein. It does. It has protein and things like that. But yeah, I wanted to make something semi-healthy. And I like the fact that I used cauliflower. I love it. I love it. I love it. So check it out. I put it on. Did I put it up on YouTube yet? I know it's on TikTok. It's on my Instagram. So it's all right there. But I also put it in the show notes. So there's a link if you want to try it for Super Bowl Sunday. You can do that. And it was really, really good. Now, as far as how, go ahead. What?
He says, interestingly, that if you wanted to do it gluten-free, just use rice flour.
Oh, yeah. I've never used rice flour. How much do you think I spent? Now, again, obviously, I didn't use all of the garlic that I bought at the grocery store, but I did buy the headed lettuce or the headed cauliflower. How much do you think I spent just to make this appetizer? Let me know in the comments.
Flour's not cheap, right?
No, and I did have to buy a new bag of flour because it didn't make the move, right? I mean, we just it was like half empty at my old house. So I had to buy, this is what I bought. I bought flour.
Mm-hmm.
I bought another thing of sriracha, but I didn't use it, but I bought it because I knew it was going to run out. I bought another thing of sriracha. I bought garlic, cauliflower, garlic, sriracha, flour. And I think that's it. Yeah, because I already had the honey. So what do you guys think about all of those things?
$30.
$30. Okay, so again, flour, cauliflower. I already had the cornstarch, garlic, sriracha. Trying to think if I bought anything else. Nope, because I also got hand soap, but I'm not going to include that in it. Let's see who gets the closest. I would have to say Randy gets it. Randy gets it. I spent about $17.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not too bad, but it does seem expensive, doesn't it? I mean, just everything. The price of everything is going up. Yeah. But you know what's going down? Apparently, according to a report from Wells Fargo, there was a shortage of chicken wings last year, but the price has actually dipped a bit. So the number reached nearly $4 in early April, but as supply slowly rose, the cost went down, as that happens, supply chain, right? The average price for a pound of wings now sits at $2.65, and that's about 22% less than a year ago. So chicken wings are probably a pretty good deal. It's not normal. Let me see. Beer is about 11% more expensive than it was a year ago. Wine is about 2% more expensive, and spirits are about 2% more expensive. I know that. I used to go to Rite Aid to get my bottle of Jim Beam that I do my cocktails with because it was cheap. If you get a big bottle of it, it would last me forever for like 20, sometimes like $22. I went one time, it was like almost $40. And I was like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm not buying it. There's something wrong here. So yeah, the price of spirits has gone up depending on where you go, especially. Soft drinks are up by about 25% from a year ago. So yeah, keep an eye on all of those things because it's going to add up. All right, I'm going to break because we are going to be bringing in a special guest after Kim's news. Brian Copeland is going to be joining us. You know him from KGO. Copeland's Corner is his podcast that drops on Thursdays. He has a new show he's going to tell us about. He's going to come on and talk about this movie that, from the comments, a lot of you have seen. It's called You People, and it's with Jonah Hill, who's white, Jewish, and Lauren London, who's a Black woman, and, you know, kind of their families being in kind of this interracial relationship from opposite, you know, different religions, kind of talking about diversity and coming together and all those sorts of things. Well, there's this other thread that kind of weaved its way through this movie that I noticed. And now there's news that what I thought was right, and I wonder why they did it. So I'm going to get Brian Copeland's take on not just the movie, but this controversy. I'm calling it a controversy because it's really interesting to me why they did this. I will also talk just about interracial relationships in general. Brian was in one, and he's had interracial relationships. And as a Black man, you know, is it difficult in 2023 to still be in an interracial relationship? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about his new show as well. And then Tim Sika will join us towards the end of the show to talk other movies we should see. But first, the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's start by discussing the death toll, which continues to rise after a devastating earthquake in Turkey and in Syria. More than 22,000 now confirmed dead. Logistical problems, blocked roads, poor communication really getting in the way of rescue efforts there. Divers with the U.S. Navy are helping recover all debris from that Chinese spy balloon that was shot down. A Navy vessel landed near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina yesterday, conducting underwater salvage and recovery operations. This comes as an FBI official said much of the evidence remains underwater. And meanwhile, another object, we don't know if it was a balloon, flying at about 40,000 feet, was shot down over the state of Alaska in the last 24 hours. Russia will produce less oil next month, and that's because its deputy prime minister said output would be cut by 500,000 barrels a day in March. This comes as nations from around the world have been targeting Russia's oil following its invasion of the country of Ukraine. Super Bowl ads are filled with cars and beer brands. No one campaign this year is focusing, though, on religion. It's painting a positive picture of the Christian faith at a time when church attendance is falling. The group is called He Gets Us, and it's spending $20 million on the commercials. Wonder where all that money is coming from. Is that a pass the plate? That's a lot of money. President Biden hosting Brazil's new president today at the White House. Their meeting expected to focus on efforts to fight climate change and taking on anti-democratic extremism as well. The meeting comes just over a month after protesters aligned with former far-right Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. They stormed buildings in the national capital after Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva defeated Bolsonaro there. Federal investigators looking into Elon Musk's brain implant company Neuralink over the potentially illegal movement of hazardous pathogens. The animal rights group Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine told Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg it had obtained emails and other documents suggesting that Fremont-based company unsafely packaged and moved implants taken from the brains of monkeys. The group said those implants might carry infectious diseases, and that would be a violation of federal law. California Attorney General Rob Bonta's wife will be leading the budget committee determining the spending for his office. Might be a conflict, is it? Assemblymember Mia Bonta, appointed recently by Speaker Anthony Rendon, the company handles how taxpayer money would be used in various public agencies, including the State Department of Justice, led by her husband, Rob Bonta. Rendon says he believes Mia Bonta will continue to be independent and unbiased in her work. This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, Steve Moskowitz is the one to call. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com, and he'll get the job done right for you. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the second part of the Nikki Medoro Show. Thank you for joining us. And now joining us, and I'm very excited about this, is the one and only Brian Copeland. Hey, Brian, of course, you know him from KGO, Station X. He also has the podcast, Copeland's Corner. New episodes drop Thursday on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and of course your website, briancopeland.com. You also have a new show that I want to talk about at the end of our interview, Grandma and Me An Ode to Single Parents, with its fourth extension at the Marsh. So we'll talk about that all about. Yeah. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. All right. But first, I want to get to this movie. Now, I reached out to you. And what was funny was, when I initially reached out, I was like, I wonder if you've seen it. And then I remembered you posted on Facebook that you thought that the movie You People was hilarious. And I agreed with you. I saw it a couple weeks ago when I was in the hospital with my daughter. I thought it was hilarious. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's a romantic comedy with Jonah Hill and Lauren London. And they basically start dating. They're in an interracial relationship. Jonah Hill comes from a Jewish family. Lauren London, I believe, comes from a Muslim family. Eddie Murphy's her dad. It's hilarious, but it kind of touches on all of these kind of societal issues, family issues, interracial issues. So I thought it was a very smart, funny movie.
And you should mention, by the way, too, that it was co-written by Kenya Barris, who created Blackish.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was Kenya Barris and Jonah Hill who wrote it. They wrote it together. But Kenya Barris co-wrote it, and he also directed it.
Okay, I'm glad that you added that, because then obviously director decisions were made. As I watched this movie, you tell me if you thought the same thing. As I'm watching it, I'm like, they're not affectionate with each other. They're not kissing. They're not making out. And I'm supposed to believe, although I thought it was a hilarious movie, as I watched it, I made a mental note of saying, I don't think I've even seen him kiss. Because, she's hot and he's Jonah Hill. Not that he's bad or anything, but I wanted to see.
But he's Jonah Hill. Come on.
Yeah. I wanted to see.
He had a weird look in the movie, though. He wasn't cute.
Yeah, exactly. And so I saw at the end that they ended up kissing, at this wedding that they ended up having, spoiler alert. But now, Brian, it's come out that not even that kiss was real. I want to play a soundbite for you right now. This is comedian Andrew. Oh, hold on. Stop with the music. Okay. This is comedian Andrew Schultz. Now you'll remember he plays cousin Avi in the movie. Okay. And he's on this podcast. Yeah. He's on the podcast, The Brilliant Idiots. This is what he had to say. And I'm just going to play the sound so YouTube doesn't hit me. Here you go.
No, Joe's funny. There's a hilarious thing. I don't know if I should share this shit, but the final scene, they don't even kiss. It's CGI.
Get the fuck out.
Swear to God, son.
How's it CGI?
I'm there. I'm watching the wedding, and I see them go in for the kiss, and their faces stop like this far. And I'm like, I wonder how they're going to play that in the movie. Oh, they're probably just going to cut right there. But the movie, you could see their faces come close, and then you could see their faces morph a little bit into a fake kiss.
Salute to Lauren London.
Okay, so I'll show it to you for those of you that want to see what I'm talking about here.
Why would they do that? Why not just kiss
why
and
not
be done with it?
So that's the question I'm going to put. I want, and obviously we don't know. We're not obviously the people making these director decisions, but here it is. I want to play it for you so you know exactly what we're talking about. This is the scene.
See? Pretty good CGI, actually.
I didn't notice.
I
didn't
never would have
notice.
known.
You know,
Okay, so
the pedals coming down, helps obscure
Right.
it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so my friend, first off, let's just take the CGI out of it.
Okay.
Do you think there was a conscious decision for them not to be physical with each other? And why would that be?
Here's the thing. If you look at rom-coms, most rom-coms, the kiss doesn't happen until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Think about How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and most, Harry Met Sally, and most of the rom-coms that you see, it's all of this tension and where it's all of this sexual tension, and boy gets girl and boy loses girl and boy gets girl again, and he gets to at the end and there's a kiss. So it didn't bother me so much that there wasn't a kiss throughout the movie, because that's the formula. That's usually how it is. That's what makes it so climactic at the end. I didn't buy the chemistry, and since you reached out to me about this, I did a little background to see what it is I could find. And first of all, apparently it's true, because nobody from Netflix, Kenny Barris, nobody involved with the production has come out and commented on it. And if it weren't true, it's been 2 days since the sound that you displayed. In 48 hours, there would have been a statement saying, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not true. Of course they kissed." Nobody said a word, which tells me it's true. Okay. So there are a couple of different reasons why it could have been true. Number one is that Lauren London has said that when she read the script, she thought, there's no chemistry here. This is not going to, I just don't think that this is going to work. Nobody's going to believe that these two people would be romantically involved, let alone have enough in common to even hang out together. That's what she said. And she said she liked him once they were filming it. Everything was fine, and he's a nice guy and all that stuff. But the chemistry wasn't there. And if you think about it, the chemistry really wasn't there, and it happened really fast. The romance happened.
It did.
I mean, by the end of the first act, they're living together by the end of the first act, and that's usually not how it goes. So that's one potential reason why, is because the chemistry wasn't there. And if you don't have chemistry and you kiss, it's real noticeable. I mean, it's real noticeable. You can not have chemistry and kind of fake it, in terms of the acting part. You can, and it'll be noticeable to a lot of people who are watching, or some who are watching. But when you kiss and have no chemistry, and and you're in close up, and this is the whole climax of the entire 2-hour movie, this is what everyone's been waiting for. Every rom-com, that's what you're waiting for at the end.
Don't you wonder though if she was like, "I'm not kissing him"? No.
That's what I was going to say.
And how must that have felt if one or the other said, "Yeah, I'm not kissing that person,"
or recast it, because obviously they don't have chemistry.
Well, there are three possible reasons why this happened. One is because of the chemistry. Two is because, from what I understand, she was the girlfriend, significant other of Nipsey Hussle, the rapper who was killed in his car in 2019. And in fact, they use a Nipsey Hussle song in one of the scenes, which apparently she's not too thrilled about, from what I understand. She didn't know they put this in post. And from what I understand is she's still grieving him. This again, just from stuff that I've read on the web. And the third thing to keep in mind is they shot this during COVID.
I didn't realize that.
We're still in COVID. But they shot this during a COVID surge. Now, they've shot plenty of movies where people have kissed, and they found all kinds of ways for people to kiss through plexiglass and all of this other stuff that's taken out in post. So you have no idea that they're kissing through cheesecloth and stuff. So there are lots of different reasons. Seriously, There's like one method where they use with cheesecloth that's between him when they kiss to protect, all this kind of stuff. So there are lots of reasons why that could happen. In terms of whether it being taboo, it's not taboo anymore. I watched some of the stuff on the CW. Well, before they blew the CW up, they just blew the CW up since it got sold. But look at some of the shows on the CW. I was watching the new Dynasty on the CW, and every one of Fallon's boyfriends, every single one of them is African American, except for one. So the one she marries, it is African American, and they never mention it. It's never mentioned.
That's awesome.
Even on Disney, you have same-sex kisses on, Disney Plus, and programming meant for tweens and teens. And so if that's okay now, then interracial relationships are child's play, right?
Yeah, in years it hasn't been an issue. But go ahead.
The thing that sticks out to me, Brian, is what the movie is about. That's what's getting to me. Like, it's not Harry Met Sally. The movie in and of itself is trying to kind of break through kind of the stereotypes and bring families together. And yet there is a director or cast or actor decision to not break through. Do you understand what I'm saying? It just seems.
But keep something in mind about this movie too that you probably don't know and a lot of people don't know. This movie was originally conceived as an update of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. The classic Sidney Poitier, Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy film, and in that film, for those who've never seen it, it is an African American doctor who's basically Jesus with a stethoscope. He works for the WHO. He's a world-renowned physician, and she's a pretty white girl whose father is the liberal editor of the San Francisco newspaper. That's it. She brings nothing to the table other than she's a pretty white girl. But I thought about this. I've been thinking about this last couple of days because I saw this movie recently. Because when Sidney Poitier died, I had a Sidney Poitier film festival. I rented. Yeah. I didn't rent. I bought. To Serve with Love and The Defiant Ones and all the stuff. They don't kiss in that movie. There's no kiss between Sidney Poitier and
that was a different time. That was a different time.
But they were still dealing with the issue of whether or not two people of different races could be and should be married in this society. So that's really the same theme in You People. It's really the same. They're really dealing with the same theme. Now, it was a different time.
It's not that it sits uneasy in me. It just seems like if you're going to make a film that is sending a certain type of message, follow it through to the reality part of the movie, which is the making of the movie. Not that I think that they need to give tongue or something like that. And let me just correct you, by the way, because I'm a huge Matthew McConaughey fan. Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey make out a lot in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Right. Just letting you know.
I stand corrected. I saw it once when it first came out, and then I deliberately went through like a Vulcan mind meld.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare insult my Matthew.
Now you're gonna get on me about 27 Dresses or whatever that
that was a good movie too. I love rom-coms. Don't even start.
I'll fess up. I like them too. I'll fess up.
Thank you. Okay, so let's get into the whole interracial aspect of this and take it out of the movie and into society. Now, anybody that knows you knows that you've been married and you were married to a white woman, obviously, Carolyn and your sons and. Talk about what's changed, if anything has, in walking in society as an interracial couple.
Well, if you go and you do a Google search right now, you can find an article that Carolyn wrote.
I love that article.
Years ago, that she wrote for the Washington Post about what it was like for her because her mother's parents did not accept them and in fact refused to see the three of them. I mean, Adam was 8 or 9 years old before he met his grandparents. And even then, when he met them and they sort of accepted them, they still didn't treat them the same. Like when Carolyn would be places with her grandfather and he'd be with his other white granddaughters, he'd say, "Oh, these are my granddaughters. And this is Carolyn." That's how he'd introduce her.
Yeah.
And so how do you even want your kids around that, right?
Yeah, well, it was difficult. It was just difficult. My ex-wife was ostracized. Her family ostracized her because of it. So I married her in 1988 is when we got married. And so things are just a lot different. And this is in the progressive Bay Area. Her parents are from Marin. and the whole, her parents are from Marin, and the whole thing. And it's just, but it's just not as big a deal, now. I mean, I've had girlfriends who are white. I've had girlfriends who are African American. I've had girlfriends who are Asian. I was engaged to a Mexican woman for 2 years, and it just didn't work out. But so it's just, at least here, it's not that big of a deal. Now, I've got a friend who just came back from North Carolina. She got the bright idea that she was going to leave here and work remotely from North Carolina because it's cheaper. And I said,
there's a reason why it's cheaper.
There's a reason why it's cheaper. Yes, I got a house for $200,000. Yeah, you got a house in North Carolina.
Exactly.
And she made it about 6 months. And it said, open racism. And she's white. Open racism. It just things that, and just blatant in front, and there's no point in arguing with people or trying to change. You're not going to change anybody's minds or anything like that, So, but aside from places like the pockets you have like that, and I always like to say there's always those places that are really hot, but it's not the heat, it's the stupidity.
That's true.
But aside from the pockets like that, it's really, for most people, not that big of a deal. Because the people who harbor those attitudes, the best way to phrase this is something that a friend of mine said, and that those attitudes have changed coffin by coffin.
Yes, and it's true. It's dark to say, but it needs to die off literally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is obviously Black History Month. Have you seen the video of Morgan Freeman? I forget who he's being interviewed by, and how he says, "I don't want a Black History Month." I don't.
Oh yeah, that's about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, it's an older video.
It's 60 minutes.
Yes, it's 60 minutes. That's right. And it always pops up during Black History Month, which I find to be interesting. Right? It's like it's a month of Black history, and people have to do all these things. Like, you shouldn't even get that. Do you think we should get a Black History Month?
I'm with him on it. I'm
really
with him on it. Yeah, I find it insulting. And here's why I find it insulting, is why are you segregating my history from, just teach history in its entirety.
We can't. We're making white people feel bad, Brian. How can we possibly teach
white people
the whole history?
Yeah. But to segregate my history to 1 month, let's talk about history in its entirety and the contributions and the failings of all people. As opposed to just having this 1 month where, suddenly every station has got, every network has got some 30 or 60 second thing they're doing on some obscure person who invented a cord for a computer, and who was Black, by the way. That's what they all are.
I will say, though, that historically Black history has been overlooked, right? And so at least if there's an attempt to cover it, to make sure that people know the contributions, if you take away Black History Month and you just say, all right, let's make it all history. What assurances do you have that actually happens, that our kids learn about that in school, that the right thing is done? You don't. And I don't trust that you would. And so then you have to have a Black History Month to make sure.
But that doesn't make sure. It still doesn't make sure, because it's selective Black history that's taught, if you're talking about in schools. They're not teaching about UEP Newton. They're not talking about Fred Hampton getting shot in his bed in school. So it's still selective. They'll trot Martin Luther King out. So, some of the more radical ones will trot out Malcolm X. But other than that, did you know that a Black person invented the phone booth? That's, and I don't know, it's something like that. That may be true.
Whatever.
You get the point of what it is I'm saying. There's no reason to segregate Black history. Black history is American history. Teach American history.
But how do you make that? But how do you make that happen when we're seeing what we're seeing as a nation? We're trying, and some states are trying to incorporate it all, and white people upset about it are saying, no, we can't include that part of history. We want it to be selective. They want the winner's side of history, right? That's, we won, and this is how we're going to frame it. And if you teach too much about whether it's the Black or the Native American or fill in the blank besides white Europeans, They say that you're trying to make these kids feel bad for the color of their skin, which is not true.
Well, and you've got DeSantis in Florida who's saying AP Black History class shouldn't even be taught.
And it's indoctrination. Well, here's the thing, and that is it's not white people. It's the far right wing of the Republican Party. It is not white people who feel this way. It is not white people who want to see books banned. It is not white people who want to see Toni Morrison.
Some white people. It's some white people showing up at these school board meetings. I mean, it's not like,
But they're the extreme. They're MAGA Republicans. They are the extreme right wing, and they are the ones who are making the most noise. And DeSantis knows that the stuff that he's pulling and banning books and all this, that it's not going to pass constitutional muster. It's not. However, it's red meat for the base. And he needs the base in order to get the Republican nomination in 2024. That's why DeSantis is doing what DeSantis is doing. So I don't.
You really don't think that it's a larger base of people that don't want to change how American history is taught? Because I disagree. I really do.
So you're saying you believe it? You believe it's the if you're gonna say a percentage?
I'm not saying majority. Okay, I'm not saying it's the majority, but I'm saying it's enough. It's enough people where schools don't even want to have the conversation to change what's being taught in the classroom. That's what I mean.
Well, that's because of the fear of what can potentially happen legally because of the influence that the far right have had on legislatures in red states. If you're in a state where you've got the Republicans that control the state house and both branches of the state legislature, they're the ones who are pushing this crap. And I'll tell you, my book, Not a Genuine Black Man, about me growing up in San Leandro when it was all white, is a book that has been required in a number of schools across the country since I wrote it. And I'm curious to see, because like a lot of high school kids have used it like for speech contests and stuff. Like some kid in Birmingham won like the state speech contest with a monologue from
so cool.
But here's what I'm waiting for to see, because I'm looking at the books that they're banning, and I'm looking to see whether or not my book has been banned. And if it's been banned, I'm in good company. I hope they do ban it. I hope that they do ban it. I mean, I'll wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like we can't ignore the loud minority.
No,
because look what happened. Something like Roe v. Wade. Most of the country, a significant majority of the country, supports Roe v. Wade, and yet it was overwhelming, and yet it still got overturned. So that's what I mean. Yes, it might be not a majority of people, but they're loud, they're organized, they get on school boards, and they have a megaphone that bleeds into normal society that's not far right. And that's what scares me.
And if you ask me to what percentage, we're talking about percentages, I would say that there are 25% of Americans of white Americans who probably feel that way. I would say they're a loud, vocal 25% who in a lot of pockets of this country have the ability to affect policy. And you're absolutely right. And that does therefore affect all of us and bleeds over into mainstream society. But I mean, do you think that those places that are banning books are going to comprehensively teach Black history because it's February?
Yeah, that's true. No.
No, of course not. And the other insulting thing is we get a month, but let's find the shortest month of the year. That's the month that Black people get. We get an extra day every 4 years. We get an extra day.
And you should be grateful.
Yeah. So 28 days. So no, I have always felt that way about Black history.
Yeah,
I feel it's insulting that Black history is not just included in it. When you're teaching about the Boston the Boston massacre, talk about the fact that Crispus Attucks, who was African American, was one of the 5 colonists who was killed. Why did I have to wait till why was it that in September in school we learned about this, but I didn't realize that one of the 5 killed was African American until February? I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't even know about Juneteenth till a couple years ago.
Right.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know about Juneteenth till I was an adult.
Yeah. And that's ridiculous.
I didn't know about Juneteenth.
They didn't tell people in Texas that slavery had ended for 2 years. How is that not top of notch history book? Like, I don't understand why that could get shuffled in and buried underneath everything.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff that's. I mean, when you would recommend. You want to read a comprehensive book on history? Read Howard Zinn's what's it? The People's History of the United States, where he tells American history from the other side, from the perspective of the other side. And there's stuff, and then it's all documented, and the right wing can't stand that book.
Of course not.
But it's, I mean, but there's stuff in there, about what a hero, we were all taught that what a hero Columbus was, Columbus discovered America and all this nonsense. And then you find out that Columbus had the indigenous people mining copper. And if they didn't bring back a certain amount of copper, a quota, he'd cut a limb off. He'd order their hands to be cut off or order fingers to be cut off. I mean, that it was that kind of brutality. He ordered them to be beaten, that kind of stuff. I mean, we never learned any of that kind of stuff in history because it does, history is written by the winners. History is written by the victors. And they'd rather, have us, with this fairy tale about the Columbus sailing the ocean blue, and he was lost. He didn't discover America.
He's a terrible captain. Jeez. All right. Well, before I let you go, though, I want to hear more about this.
Go. I'm having fun. I gotta go.
No, I want to hear about Grandma and Me, an ode to a single parents. It's been extended for the 4th time at the Marsh. Tell us about this. I mean, you've been like extended. Don't you have like a record for extensions at the Marsh or something?
Yeah, not a the longest running solo show in the history of Bay Area theater.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
This one is my 5th solo show. And where this comes from is a couple of years ago, my sisters and I were cleaning out my grandmother's things. My grandmother passed away in 2007, and we were clearing out her things. And we came across the guardianship paper from when she got custody of the 5 of us, was granted guardianship of me and my 4 sisters when our mother died. My mother died when I was 14. And I looked at this. I'd never seen the paper before. And I'm looking at the paper, and all of our names and ages are listed. And we're ranging in age from 1 to, by the time it was signed, I was 15. So my mom died a couple months before I turned 15. So my grandmother, who was 57, who had a Jim Crow Birmingham, Alabama education, took on 5 kids ranging in age from 1 year old to 15 years old by herself. And I just didn't realize the enormity of what it was she'd done until I saw it in writing. And then I thought about my own experience when my children's mother and I split. I ended up being the custodial parent. She had them alternate weekends and one day during the week, but I was the one packing lunches and going on field trips. And I hadn't been doing that stuff. Previously, I hadn't been doing that stuff. And so what this story is about being on both sides of single parenthood, being 15 years old. And when you're 15 years old, you're an asshole. Period. You are. I don't care how good a kid you've been. I was an alpha boy. I was a Boy Scout. Okay. All right. Dealing with all of that. And then, of course, when it's my turn, I have my own on the other end.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's just all of the things that she had to deal with, her challenges and my challenges, and how they were the same and how they were different. And so it's funny. It's heavy. At the end of it, there's not a dry eye in the house at the end.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So actually, I got some. They just extended, so I've got some tickets that I'll to your viewers / listeners. Email me through my website. Go to briancopeland.com. Shoot me an email. First 5 who email me will get a pair of tickets to see the show tomorrow at the Marsh in San Francisco at 5:00. If you're worried about COVID safety, you have to have proof of vax and 1 booster, and you have to be masked the entire time that you're in the theater. And we're not selling it to the rafters. We're not selling about 50%, so people can socially distance. So nice. So people have room to socially distance. So if you're concerned about safety, those are the protocols that are in place. So first 5, you email me through briancopeland.com. I'll put your name on the list, and you'll get a pair of tickets. And of course, the 2 of you, anytime you want to come, anytime you want to come.
We need to make a date. We have to go make a date and go see you. And again, check out Brian's podcast as well, Copeland's Corner. New episodes are every Thursday on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and of course, briancopeland.com. Friend, I love having you on. Great conversation. And we'll get you back on soon. I love it.
Before we let him go, I have to ask him about baby Nora.
Oh, yeah. The
She's
most baby in the whole wide world.
She's 4 months old. That's Carolyn's baby, my first grandbaby, which is, it's still, I haven't wrapped my head around that yet.
She's so cute.
Weird, but she's, what's it, how it is, both having had children, is that in the beginning they're a blob, and then all of a sudden they develop a personality. So lift her head up now and she's laughing out loud. And she's got a little personality, and you play peekaboo with her, she'll laugh. I mean, actually cackle. And so it's and there's so much that you forget. It's been 30 years since I changed the diaper, and they're Velcro now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can take them off and put it back on. It doesn't stick like it used to. I know, right? That's amazing.
I mean, I remember I used to change my baby sister's diapers when I was a kid, and I remember diaper pins and cloth diapers and boiling bottles to sterilize them, and none of that stuff anymore.
It's easier, but it's just as hard, right? It's just as hard.
There's all this new stuff that Carolyn keeps going, "You do that wrong," and I go, "Well, I did it with you. You treat out fine." She goes, "Well, no, but now they know." So fine, whatever you want. You're the mom, whatever you want.
I love it. Well, congratulations, Grandpa. We'll get you on again. Give everybody our love, and we'll talk again real soon.
All right. You take care. Thanks for having me. Good to
see
you.
Of course. Again, briancopeland.com. Check it out. First 5 will get tickets to go see his show. Yeah, he's awesome. And I just love his perspective. I always loved when he had his show on KGO. I'd be in there and we would get into some great conversations. So I'm
even in the newsroom. I just love debating with him back and forth. It's always so fun.
Is there anything really big in the news? Because we do have Tim Sika waiting in the wings.
What do I have for you? How about if I just give you the update right now? I'll just say that we already know the high altitude object was shot down over the state of Alaska, and that President Biden had ordered that within the last 24 hours. Some new insight about why people get COVID and others don't.
Okay.
This is interesting. University of Sydney researchers say a naturally occurring protein in the lungs attaches itself to the coronavirus and prevents it from binding with other cells in some people. People who never experienced symptoms of COVID had higher levels of the protein in their blood than those with a severe infection. So why do some people get COVID and hardly get sick at all versus why do some people end up in the hospital on a respirator?
Yeah.
Has to do possibly with this protein. And this is just one other story that I want to throw at you. Students at Rancho Cotati High School here in Sonoma County got an out-of-this-world visit yesterday. Astronaut Nicole Mann, who is an alumna of the school, had a video chat from the International Space Station with about 100 students at the school that she attended as a kid.
How cool is that?
So, yeah, she showed them what it was like to float in gravity. She ate some peanut M&Ms out of the air. She made orbs of levitating water. Yeah, she was born, of course, here in the town of Petaluma and raised in Pengrove, and she made history as the first Native American in space when she and her crew arrived at the International Space Station last October. So here is a picture of Nicole Mann. We are very proud of her here in the North Bay.
That is awesome.
Yeah, super awesome. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve Moskowitz has been there for people, whether you've got a business, whether you're just filing as an individual or a married couple. He's got your back. He is the best. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. And that is news on the Nikki Medoro Show, baby.
Perfect. All right. We love it. Hopefully Steve will be able to join us as well before the show ends. But right now, let us bring in the one, the only Tim Sika to the show. Tim, happy Friday. Happy pre Super Bowl Eve. Are you a Super Bowl watcher, Tim Sika? Oh, do we have Tim? Uh-oh. I think we're going to have to reconnect you, Tim.
We can kind of hear you, but you're glitching. You want to disconnect and reconnect, maybe?
Yeah, why don't you disconnect?
Yeah, okay. Okay, all right, let me do that. Okay.
He's like, all right.
He's like, all right, I'll do it. Yeah. Yeah, it's let's just remove you for a little bit. Yeah, it was a little bit glitchy.
Yeah.
But let me give some shout outs real quickly because we had a couple of donators to our super chat. Daddy Chi donated $2 super sticker. Love you, Daddy Chi. Thank you.
I love the name.
Yeah, and then Joe Fong with a $10 super sticker. Thank you guys so very much. Absolutely. Again, if you want to support us in a different way, can I just show it one more time? I'm just going to keep showing it because I love it so much. Go to the Red Jack Saloon in San Francisco because they have a drink special. For me, it's called the Medoro Mule. And then they have for Mark Thompson show the Martini. And the same price, and some of the proceeds go to our shows to support it. So thank you to Lori for doing that. And go to the Red Jack Saloon, check out the drink, take a picture, say hi to Lori. And we really, really do appreciate all the support and the love. All right, let's see how Tim's connection is. Hello, my friend.
Is that better? Is that better?
That is so much better. Okay, perfect. That is so much better. Yeah, we can hear you. Awesome. Can you hear us?
Good. Yeah, you know what's weird is you guys were glitching out too when I was, in the back room waiting to come on. Your phone, the screen was like glitching, so I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, we're on now.
We're on now. So do you watch the Super Bowl, Tim? Is that something that happens in the Sika house?
You know what? I kind of check in, from time to time, but I don't like sit around and do the ritual thing that most people do.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I want to talk what you do watch. And I want to start with what's at the top of my list, of course, which is, if anybody can guess, any guesses, Magic Mike. Magic Mike's Last Dance. So, did you see it? Do you like it? Was it amazing? Was it hot?
That's an interesting question because you would think it would be. But anyway, this is the third Magic Mike movie. Mike, of course, the stripper Mike Lang, played by Channing Tatum.
Oh, I know. Hold on, Tim. I don't think we got you. Hold on. We don't. Hold on.
That's weird. Okay.
I'm gonna have to remove you for just a second. I'm not. It's glitching, right? I'm not the only one that's hearing that.
It's true, and I really wanted to hear what he had to say about Magic Mike too, because I think I'm gonna see this one no matter what, because I have to wrap up. This would be the trilogy, right?
Yes,
there was
this is
Magic
the trilogy.
Mike, and then there was Magic Mike Extra Large or Extra Large.
Extra large, I think it was XXL, something like that, or XL.
And then this is Magic Mike: The Last Dance.
All right, let's try one more time, Tim, and then we're gonna have to see. Maybe we'll just have to continue next week. Okay, Tim, let's try it again. What'd you think of Magic Mike?
Is that better?
That is better. Oh, no, you're warbling again.
You guys,
I might have to do it by. Should I do them by phone?
Yeah, let's just remove Tim because I just can't handle it.
Let me call him and see if I can do it by speakerphone.
Yeah, Kim, you lead the interview because you'll be able to hear him and he'll be able to hear you. Because I want to know. I want a male perspective of Magic Mike. So this is what I didn't know. So I didn't realize, and I'm just going to make sure before I even say this, because I remember when they were thinking about doing another Magic Mike, Matthew McConaughey, was saying that he wanted to be part of it. He's like, hey, Channing, give me a call. And I'm looking at the IMDb of the movie, and I don't see him. I wanted to know for sure whether or not Matthew McConaughey, because he was in the other ones, was going to make an appearance. How many people in the comment? I know. How many people in the comment want to watch Magic Mike? And it could be men and women. I mean, you guys can get some, tips, some moves, some things like that. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey is not in this. This is a trilogy. Selma Hayek plays Maxandra, who is basically the huge lead of this movie. And I will say this, I think what makes Magic Mike different, that I don't know, it kind of is the same as in real life. Okay. Magic Mike is not cheesy in being sexy.
Can you hear me?
It's like not Chippendales. It's Magic Mike.
We should just do this next week.
Can you hear him? Here he is.
I can hear him.
So we're looking for the male perspective, Tim. Go for it.
Okay. First of all, I would never have bothered with any of these Magic Mike movies in the first place if it weren't for the director behind them, Steven Soderbergh, who is a great filmmaker, right? He moves very easily from high-profile commercial projects like Aaron Brockovich and the Ocean's 11 movies back to his indie roots with movies like Sex, Lies, and Videotape. What's interesting about Magic Mike's Last Dance, and this is my perspective on this, and this is why I'm giving it any attention at all. There's something here aside from the plot, which is in itself kind of dumb. Anyway, that was interesting up to a point, and that's the texture of the movie, I guess, is the best way to put it. In other words, the movie's directed as though it was about, which is pretty much nothing. It was about nothing, but it's directed like it's actually about something, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
This movie reminded me of that trashy John Travolta movie, that Staying Alive movie, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. Well, Magic Mike's Last Dance is a stupid story given a kind of artsy sheen from its director. It's like Steven Soderbergh's version of Staying Alive. The plot is Mike's retired from stripping. He's working as a bartender in Florida. This rich lady played by Salma Hayek comes up to him, knows of his reputation. They do like a 10-minute lap dance, and then she wants to hire him for this play she's producing on Broadway, which is just ridiculous. The movie's boring.
Boo!
It's not about very much. Now, it'd be interesting to see what you ladies think. It's punctuated by this narration about the art of dance, which seems pretentious and kind of disingenuous, because Magic Mike movies are supposed to be all about the male strippers, the sex and the stripping and the half-naked men and the stripping and the sex. But,
do we not get half-naked men? Because that's kind of the price of admission, right?
Exactly.
You don't get any half-naked men in this movie, except for a several-minute-long lap dance scene where Mike is gyrating all over Max. That's the Salma Hayek character, which is the thing that gets her to hire him to help her with this play she wants to produce. This movie, unlike its predecessors, is not even, I don't think it's even particularly sexy. It's more aesthetic than erotic. It seems to be more preoccupied with dance rather than stripping.
Oh.
So whatever this movie was or was trying to be, I don't think it worked. I mean, it was just weird and dull. I thought.
What a bummer.
Yeah, and even the lap dance scene is kind of, the lap dance scene is, it's not, I don't think it's particularly erotic at all. I mean, Salma Hayek's great to look at. She's a beautiful woman,
right.
But it's not, it seems so staged that, I don't know, I didn't think it was particularly sexy at all. So, I don't know. I mean,
that's a bummer.
He's getting mixed reviews, so for whatever that's worth. Some people are saying pretty much what I'm saying. Some people are saying it's this highly charged erotic drama. Ugh, I thought it was boring.
All right. Well, let's put off the other movies until next week, Kim, so we can interact.
You guys are glitching here too, right?
Okay.
Your images are glitching, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Nikki, I was telling Kim that I just redid my my Wi-Fi here, and I've got the what's that called? Fiber optics. They installed.
You went fiber.
To improve reception. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it.
It could be me. I don't know.
Getting weird whatevers. Anyway.
Well, let's do the. Tell them we'll do the rest of the movies next time.
And it's nice to hear Kim's voice. I can't hear Nikki's.
All right. Well, tell you what. Is there? Do you want to do any of the other movies, or do you want to just do the rest?
No,
of
let's do the rest of them. Yeah, let's do the rest of them.
Go ahead.
Nikki's saying let's do the rest of them next time.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in agreement. Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe we can do a test before or something.
Yeah.
To see
Sounds
if
good.
We're okay. All right.
Okay.
We'll talk to you ladies next week.
Bye. Yeah. The segment's just better when we can actually interact with Tim Sika.
It's true.
I made an executive decision, and and I really just wanted the Magic Mike thing as the top of the list type of thing. I will tell you this: have you seen Magic Mike live?
No. Is that like an actual live show?
The Vegas show that Channing Tatum. I am telling you, my friend, this is something you need to experience. They should hire me to do advertising for it. So I saw it when it first came out in Vegas, and it continues. It's moved. It was at the Hard Rock. That's where I saw it. It's moved to a different casino, because it moves, it's a Vegas thing. Now, what Tim said right there about it was so dancing focused and not stripping focused,
right,
is kind of like the live show. It's not. Now they do strip, but I would say 85% of the time, and it's been a few years that I've seen this show. Anybody in the comments see it? You can weigh in on this. They're topless guys in jeans. And why are they topless guys in jeans? Because topless guys in jeans are hot. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between Magic Mike and like Chippendales with their thongs and their bow ties, which is very a cheesy type of stripping. Magic Mike live, and I think also kind of the point of the movie as well, is to give women what they actually think is sexy instead of what they're, I don't know if you've ever gone to a Chippendale show. It's very much a laughing type of thing. And I'm not saying there's not laughing at Magic Mike either, because it's a crowd of women and men, and they're screaming and yelling and it's a good time or whatever. But during Magic Mike Live, they take women from the audience. And we were some of them because we were very close, and they dance with you, but they don't gyrate on you. They dance with you. Like, and then they ask
Did you go up on stage and dance?
No, not on stage. They come down to you. To you, and they ask you to dance. They ask you to dance.
It's not like a lap dance or anything.
No.
Okay.
They ask you to dance, and they're like, "How are you? Where are you from? Are you having a good time?" Like, it's like they're just trying to get to know you. They give you fake money. There's no dollars. They give you fake money if you want to kind of like throw money at people or whatever. They do let you. There is, and if anybody has seen it live, there is a water dance that is epic, but it's with one of the male dancers and a female dancer. Epic. The gymnastics. There's music. There's a guy, I think, that comes down on a piano. There's a guy that plays like the drums. It's very talent focused. It is not Chippendales. It is very good. I had to convince my brother right after I'd seen it. My brother and my sister-in-law were going to Vegas, and and they were staying at the Hard Rock. And I was like, Jessica, you have to go see this thing. And I wouldn't let it go. I was like, you are not going to stay at the Hard Rock, especially because you're right there, and not go see this show. And she's like, I don't know. Da, 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 da. And like, my brother called me from Vegas. He's like, you've convinced her. She's going. And she thanked me. She absolutely thanked me. You will not regret it. It is not cheesy. It is a totally good time. These guys do acrobatics and the dancing. It's amazing. So if you ever have a chance and you're in Las Vegas, you should definitely check it out. I mean, was I hoping that Channing Tatum would be one of the dancers? Perhaps. But these guys are cute. And there's a guy for everybody, whatever your taste may be. If you like them dark, light, Asian, long hair, short hair, muscular, kind of skinnier, like they come in all shapes and sizes. Calvin just asked, are tickets $50? Probably something like that, maybe even less. I think you could probably go to the casino. Believe me, Vegas always gives people good. I would say we were the row right by the stage because we were going. We decided to go all out. So we were like right on the stage. I would even say if it's the same setup as the Hard Rock, even being a row or two back instead of right on the stage might be better. But yeah, when you're right there, they come down, they dance with you. It's so much fun. It was so much fun. So definitely check it out. All right. Well, so everybody have fun doing the Super Bowl. Oh, we lost Kim McAllister. That's okay. She's out. She's having a grand old time. Let me know if you guys make my appetizer. I've been eating it during the show. So again, this is what it looked like. And I think mine came out pretty damn close. Honey, garlic, cauliflower, semi-healthy. The website to the recipe is in the show notes. Okay. So it's right below the show notes. Please click the thumbs up button before I let you guys go. It helps the show. You just click it once. Don't click it a million times because that doesn't make any sense and it turns it off. And YouTube wants to get the thumbs up. Please, if you can, donate to our Patreon. We're kind of hitting a certain mark with the show of whether or not we're going to continue it or not. So please, if you can, support the show, support myself, support Kim. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is a link to our Patreon. You can also send PayPal donations. There's the email, TheNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. Get merchandise at TheNikkiMedoroShop.com and help us out that way. Tell your family, tell your friends. We really just want to spread the show. And if you love it, let everybody know you love it. And go Niners, even though you're not playing. I hope they both lose. Have a fabulous weekend. We'll talk on Monday.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.